I do believe we are live, so I'll say indeed and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. Thank you for joining me once again on another conscious evolution, for finding yourself here consciously evolving. Today's whole stream topic is going to be about this topic of us, as in this generation of humanity, being the next step of human evolution, right? Like we've done it. It's being done right now. It's already happening. We will see a significant change in what we consider humanity, be it psychological upgrades, as in learning how to deal with our own psychological issues. I feel like that's probably going to be one of the steps. Biological augmentation, through gene editing or, even like T cell modification, stuff like that. There's going to be chemical, intervention where we can kind of like add certain chemicals to our system and change our conscious experience. And then ultimately, cybernetic enhancement, right? Where we'll have this ability to integrate with technology. And we'll see all of these things happening in our lifetimes, right? So there's a bunch of different things that I want to talk about. One of them, obviously, is going to be our responsibility. If this is what's going to happen, what part do we have to play in that whole situation? There's going to be ethics, I guess, right? Like, is it right? Is it going to be acceptable for us to change ourselves in that way? There's going to be the haves and have-nots conversation as well, probably, right? Like, is it just going to cause even more inequality? So we'll talk about it. We'll feel, paying attention to these things is how we actually get better at knowing how we're supposed to move forward. Not paying attention is the best way to be caught off guard. Nobody likes to be caught off guard, right? It's nice to be surprised if the surprise is a good thing. I do believe most of the change that's coming is going to be good change, but it's going to be an experience. Toast Malos, Shell and Joe, Zano and Sam and Natalie, Kelly, beloved Shan. Ain't seeing no Joy Vive just yet. She's probably going to be here soon. Sending her preemptive blessings already. It's nice having you friends here. Good morning with the Joe Schmo Humanimals. Hello, Zana. Blessings, friend. I can't believe how in sync I am with these thoughts today, Melty. Are you feeling into this as well? The whole evolution thing? It's a little bit much, right? Like just saying those words even can be a little bit loaded. Hey, Zana, joining us too. Can be pretty loaded to consider what it means to evolve as a species, right? Like, is it uncomfortable to evolve, I wonder? Yes, at least my intuition says yes. Yes, it is uncomfortable, right? Hey, Kristen is here too. Nobody wants to change necessarily, right? And yet, I feel like it's gonna come down to choice, right? That we have made a bunch of decisions as the collective species that has allowed us this moment, right? We chose at one point to prioritize technology. And because of that choice, we find ourselves separated by hundreds of thousands of miles collectively. And yet, here we are together in the same space, right? That is an evolution. That is an evolution of the way we have been interacting our whole lives. Usually, we had to travel. Usually, we had to take our physical forms, over to the place that we could meet together. And now we have transcended, literally transcended, evolutionarily, that limitation of our biology, of our physical forms, and like this is just like it's like the whole thing of like one thing leads to another, right? We had that as a stream topic. This thing is going to lead to another thing, and another thing isn't going to be any less weird. Hey, Loy, it's nice seeing you too, friend. Let me say more highs. Philosophically speaking, yourself is the only human you 100% know is human. The rest of us could very well be toasters. Love you. toasters too. Mm. I I mean, technically, Joy, there she is. Hey, Joy, we've been missing you. Shell is here too. I guess, right? We could technically all be toasters. Instead of going that far with it, I would rather say technically we are all not humans anymore, right? I feel like we're saying the same thing, Sam, but I feel like we're gonna reel it back just a little bit, being like, yeah, sure, we could be toasters, but more likely than we're toasters is that we're not human anymore, right? Where, for me, at least in my mind, I imagine a human as someone who is a hunter gatherer. Hey, Gateway! Loves you, Jules. Like, a hunter gatherer is basically a human in my mind, right? And I am not that thing. I am not a hunter gatherer anymore. If I had to go, one to one with a hunter gatherer, I would get wrecked, right? Like if, for instance, we had to both get stripped naked and dropped in a forest somewhere, the hunter gatherer is probably going to wipe the floor with me. Vice versa, if a hunter gatherer had to be dropped in this current society, I would be able to wipe the floor with them, right? With my current technological prowess and my ability to use these tools, as a medium of exchange or as a way to build things. So we are technically different people, right? Like one of these interesting theories, kind of like talking about BCIs. I know it's a sensitive one, but we're gonna talk about cybernetic augmentation, right? And it doesn't have to just be, brain stuff. We can change our nervous systems, make us stronger. We can replace our knees, right? Technically, that is also, I think at least, cybernetic augmentation. It's like an augmentation, at least technological augmentation, right? And it was talking about, it's like a Wait But Why is the article called, and it's like 93 pages. I read it when I was like 16, and I felt very informed. I was like, yeah, I know shit now. But anyway, he was basically talking about how technically, at this point in our history, we are already cyborgs, right? That we are no longer humans, we are cyborgs. And cyborg in the capacity where we need electricity. None of us want to live without electricity at this point in our life, right? Sure, we can go and move out into a field somewhere, and live off the grid. But more likely than not, we're gonna want at least solar panels and like some sort of battery system so that we don't have to go completely without. And that's where we find ourselves at this point in our history, right? Like that is already an evolution. You can call it a devolution. Is it de-evolution or devolution? You can call it like a regress, right? Because now we are even more dependent on this world to kind of continue surviving. But the way I see it is just a natural part of the evolution, right? Like the whole transitory experience, right? One thing leads into another, leads into another. This conversation about if AI is going to kill us all is one that kind of makes me laugh. And I heard this beautiful take on it one day that I have been really resonating with. And it's a one of acceptance, right? That if AI kills us all, maybe that's okay. Right? And I'm saying this more as like a thought experiment for us to kind of participate in, right? Not actually being okay with it, right? No one wants to die. Like we have kids, we have family members that we want to see continue living. So it's not a kind of like an abandonment of that. It's more a willingness to pay attention to what it means to be a part of an evolution process, right? Like you can see computers, technology, artificial intelligence as, again, another step of us, right? Of our humanity. That there would be no artificial intelligence if there was no human beings, right? So it's like a child we're birthing into this world right now, and that child is going to, at least in my mind, right, is going to become a part of us in the same way these technological, pieces of information devices technically has become a part of our lives, an integral part of our lives, right? Like you can use this device to order food, you can use this device to get yourself plane tickets, you can use this device to connect to your family members, you can use this device pretty much for anything, at this point. And it's going to be the same thing with the next step of our evolution, right? It's only going to become more integrated. You think of it like a unifying force, right? Like one thing that we absolutely know is that it's not going to slow down, right? evolution, like there's this, like I forgot who the quote was by, but he goes, everything is either evolving from nothing or heading towards nothing, right? And all we're doing as human beings, right, is fighting entropy, fighting this thing that is a fundamental force in our universe, right? This time breaking things down slowly, right? And we're kicking and screaming against that. And it's going to come with changing the way we consider ourselves. It's going to come with a change in the way we consider the world, right? Like I imagine, I try to at least, how different my cognition will be 20 years from now, right? If I've, completely melted into all three of those previously mentioned, right? Chemical enhancement, for instance, and we can talk about something as simple as coffee, right? Technically, coffee is one of the evolutionary changes we have made to our species, where people used to drink, like people used to give their employees alcohol so that they would continue working, right? Like, sure, there were more injuries. People would lose their hands because they were sloshed, but at least they're working, right? And then we figured out coffee, right? And we're like, oh wow, statistically, my employees are willing to work later into the night, and they might put in 3 extra overtime hours if I give them this beverage that has caffeine in it, right? So the Industrial Revolution and the amount of progress we've made over the last 100 years can be, at least in part, attributed to our consumption of a chemical. And it changes the way you perceive, right? It gives you that almost like excited, I need to get this thing done, I need to be present with this moment energy. And that's like a very basic chemical, right? And with the current artificial intelligence, we'll be able to develop new substances, drugs, if you want to use that word, that is going to do much, much more, right? Like if you, for instance, and I've thought about this in length, if you can figure out a type of psychedelic, like an LSD type of agonist, right, that doesn't have the effects, where you kind of like lose motor function a little bit, right? And I'm saying lose motor function very liberally, where if you're tripping on LSD or mushrooms, for example, you don't particularly want to be meticulously working with your fingers, right, on something small, right? And if you can take away that part of it and just keep the expansive, creative, mind space, that is going to radically change the way we participate in this world, right? Just that. Just that. Then we add biological, editing onto that, where you can kind of like upregulate your brain-derived neurotrophic factor, meaning you have more brain cells connecting more, efficiently, more neurogenesis, more, neuroplasticity. That is going to change the way we remember, retain information, the way we form connections in our own minds, especially alongside, a psychedelic type of, chemical that allows us to be more creative beings as well. And then on top of that, you add cybernetics, right? So now not only do you have a more creative mindset, you have a more neuroplastic and quicker connection forming brain. But on top of that, you have an informational exchange system that is an order of magnitude greater than our eyes or our hands or our ears could ever be. That is going to radically change the way we see the world. It's going to be an evolution. And alongside that, our consciousness is going to have to evolve, right? That's what we're talking about when we talk about conscious evolution. And so many things are going to change. So many different nodes are going to change at the same time. And it's going to have to come along with us changing as a entity as well, right? Our relationship to this world. And for me, and this is again my bias, I believe the only way is unity, right? Like if things are going to be that different, if things are going to be that extreme, we're going to have to remember that we are the same thing, technically, right? And I was talking about that in yoga today as well, that you were a child once, right? Let's just take that. You were a child once. And now you are an evolved version of yourself, having come from that childlike state, right? But being willing to kind of like acknowledge that you were a child once and that you came from that place allows you a certain perspective, allows you a certain compassion. For instance, when you see a child, right? Like if a child is struggling with something, you're not going to spit on them, and be like, yeah, be better. Why aren't you an adult yet, child? That doesn't make sense. And we have to do the same thing with the collective humanity, because there probably will, at least at first, be a good deal of inequality, right? If there are actual super entities walking amongst us, right? What's going to be the better approach? Them spitting on us, thinking of us as lesser, or them kind of encouraging us, to become better? Fun times coming up. Let me read some comments. Send your friend some loves. Kelly, blessings, dear friend. I have the sharpest pruner ever, and now I'm unstoppable. Is it one of those that are electric? I've been eyeing one of those, Duck Dad. You push a button and it has a gear ratio that cuts things, with electricity instead of brute force. Mel, there's a great old song called "One Thing Leads to Another" by The Fix. Send me a link or post it in the music worth listening to, or share music tab. That would be the best way for me to get it. Battlestar suggests that we don't know we are human. I mean, technically, no, right? Technically, we don't. Again, I don't actually think we are anymore. I feel like we are transitioning. We're actively in that transitionary step from going to what was human to what is more than, right? Homo sacris or Homo Christialis. That's also a cool one. We're becoming something new. The toaster beloster. So much lovins. You pronounce loy or lua. I'm guessing OI might be loy. Oi, right? I'm guessing. I haven't seen Loy said anything other than hi yet. Maybe one day. I'm looking forward to it. Gateway, love is true. Meloster looks like molester. I had to like be like mindful. I'm like, wait a second. What is Duck Day say? So y'all are toasters, or am I the toasty? Yes. I think so. Toasters is the Battlestar Galactica universal slur for the evil cybernetic intent on extinguishing humanity. Really? I thought you were kind of joking. I don't really have any hope to extinguish humanity. Right? For me, it's more a power thing. Power being the ability for you to take something from thought to reality. Right? That's power. And for the longest time, power used to be your ability to garner people and finances, right? And technically, with finances and people's efforts, you could take something that used to be a thought and bring it into reality. And now, with this technological space, we have created a medium where it's easier to build than it's ever been before, right? Like if I, for instance, want to create a beautiful work of art with like AI right now, I can, instead of spending years, decades even, learning the intricate skills, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, I'm just making a point, spend years learning the intricate skills to make a beautiful work of art, I can describe the work of art that I would like to see made. And with our current, generative AI, we can create that, right? That is power. Taking something from your thought to at least a conceptualized reality, right? And it's only going to accelerate. Like the human species is going to become exponentially more powerful, right? And all of these things, chemical enhancement, biological editing, and cybernetic enhancement is only going to add to that power, your ability to take something from mind and bring it into this world. And now, again, the only thing that we have to be mindful of is what do we want to bring into this world, right? What do we believe is worthy of being brought into this world? And I think it's going to have to be a level of co-creation, right? A participation. Like it's going to have to take a collective to bring something into the actual world. We might be able to build it in the digital world, and that might be good. But if there's not, and again, it's going to be like a market thing, right? If there's no need, right? If people don't want the thing that you've created, maybe it should remain digital, right? Instead of being brought into this physical world. Like to give an example, to articulate, this point a little bit closer, there was this one scene from I think Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon said, we should put implants in everybody's brains, and if they say something stupid, it just explodes, right? And of course, that was a joke, right? But that's like kind of like an alluding to how someone who might be intelligent, right, maybe more intelligent than most other human beings, doesn't necessarily mean they have the best approach to reality, right? And if they were in ultimate power, they could technically do that. But because we are a collective, we get to co-create our reality. We can be like, nah, no, 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 no. How about no? I say stupid things sometimes. Melt, you're talking about about going one-on-one against me and Swampy Joe. I hope not. Oh, are talking about the hunter-gatherer, caveman, computer operator. Are we Devo? Are we not meant? Are we not entertained? If anyone, Joy, I wondered if anyone would get that reference. I'm happy that someone did. I unfortunately did not. We are spirits in the material world. Agreed. And from that perspective, I believe, Joy, that no matter what changes in the material world, will remain spirit. Diana, it's been a while, friend. Blessings. It's nice seeing your name. No matter what changes, right? Things have changed. Think about how much has changed just in your life, right? Which is technically pretty transient, like small, I want to say. Not the fact that your life is small, but the amount of time you've spent living in comparison to the amount of evolution that has to happen for you to be a human being right now, right? Like there's a certain level of dissonance, I guess. And yet, regardless of in this small amount of time that you've spent, you've seen things change radically, right? The fact that I, as a young person, have lived through, I think something like two pandemics, two financial crises, right? Like things keep changing, and yet my spirit remains. Like we're not being taken away, and things are only going to change faster, but your spirit will remain. The part of you that's conscious of the change is going to stay unchanged. And in that way, if we can anchor ourselves into our consciousness, right, consciously evolving, right, realizing that this whole evolutionary process is derived from a conscious evolution, not the other way around, we'll be fine. We'll be stable enough to continue going. I made the choice to watch the news yesterday. Oh, that's a bad idea. Do not recommend it. It threw me into a headspace of revolution and general discontentment with so many fractals that are currently in the world. Yeah, like for me, it was a Banksy post that kind of did the same for me, Joe Schmo, where it went, the earth isn't dying, she is being killed, and the people killing her has addresses. Has names and addresses. I think that's the quote. The earth isn't dying, she is being killed, and the people killing her have names and addresses. Right? Like the good old Banksy. It's a little bit disconcerting, dude. I completely agree. Hot take, if you download your consciousness into a computer and your body dies, do you consider that immortality? Nope. No, I do not. I believe soul, right? The part of you that is consciousness is immortal, right? But it doesn't, and this is maybe like a little bit of a insensitive take. It doesn't need you, right? From that perspective. It wants you from that perspective, right? Like it wants you enough to be you in this moment, but it doesn't need you to continue being, right? It doesn't even need a computer, right? It doesn't even need to be cybernetically uploaded in order to continue being. I believe it's a fundamental force of this universe, right? The same thing is going to be conscious of a self, even if it's being rendered through a computer, for example. And then there will be an inevitable heat death of the universe, right? And if that computer has no more energy to continue processing, that version of you that you think you are will still perish, right? Will have some sort of mortality attached to it. And then I honestly do believe that your consciousness, the part of you that is that consciousness, will just return to base state, right? Just simple being. That you can be in the void, right? As awareness. Like if you have access to it, go and like treat yourself to a float tank. it shows you how you are capable, completely capable, of going into a space where you hear nothing, see nothing, smell nothing, feel nothing, absolutely nothing, and you can be completely content, calm, present. No need, right? No need. Like, I feel like that was the weirdest part to me, is that I really do like entertainment, right? I enjoy beauty, to say it in another way, right? I feel like that's what entertainment is, at least in some way. It's an expression of beauty or an expression of creativity. And when I was in that space, I had no needs. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't happy. I wasn't feeling anything. And I was okay with that. I was like, yeah, this is fine. Nothing. Nothing is fine as well. So the fact that we get to experience everything, at least everything from your perspective, right? The everything you'll get to experience remains a blessing. Completely embrace it. Joe, I watch the news rarely. It's geared towards fear baiting. Yeah, people that are scared come back to see more, boosting ratings. You know, kind of like treating those advertisers well, etc., etc. Are you playing Tears of Kingdom Zano? Is that where the question is coming from? Maybe. Had to walk myself back out of the headache. Heartache and headache. You want to come sit on my lap? Do it. Make a decision. Come on. Make a decision. There we go. I'm good now. But I was very surprised at how much it affected my rhythm. Yeah, it's like programming, dude. It's like they do try to program you into a certain state of being, you know, and it's very easy to get there. Even though we've done all of this work to consciously evolve, doesn't mean it's any harder for us to, you know, fall. It's just about awareness again, right? Realizing that that's happening, paying attention enough to actually change it. No, Sam, is that the new Zelda? Considered it on a continuum. What does? Where does the continuum end? Exactly. I feel it's cyclical. You are already immortal, right? The thing you actually are, this part of you that is aware of this moment, that is the part of you that's immortal. That is the part of you that remains unchanged. And if you can really identify with that part of yourself, you can kind of fall in love with the change, the imperfect, right? Wabi sabi. You can go straight up with that wabi sabi because you're like, oh, wow, what beauty is this, right? Not me, not you, but this experience of us sharing this moment. That is what's beautiful, right? And I might not be perfect, and you might not be perfect, but this moment in its imperfection is what is perfect. And we can embrace that when we completely identify with the part of ourselves that's aware instead of the part of ourselves that is change. Oh yeah, it's just so similar of the in-game events. I had to know. There's consciousness uploading in Zelda now? I missed a lot. Oh, Joe, you have a good heart and keep on the top of daily events, especially in Florida. It's going to take a toll on you a little more than it does anyone else. Agreed. True. I didn't even know. I guess computers can live forever. Can't live forever either. Yeah, true. All right, it's a little bit of a conundrum. There is a weird fractal where we can kind of, you know, talk about time dilation, where you could time dilate yourself into forever, right? For instance, we could technically be in a simulation right now, right? Think about your dreams, how dreams happen at a faster rate than your active consciousness does, for example, right? And then if we kind of like take that principle that it's possible, oh, like in our minds, for a state of being to exist faster than it is our state of existence, you know, exists right now. And then if we're in a simulation, us building these hyper intelligent machines, pushing ourselves towards another singularity, we could, from that singularity, create a whole nother species, you know, a whole nother planet Earth with human beings. And then those human beings can evolve and grow more and more intelligent and then develop their own computer systems. And then they can reach a singularity in their system and they can then start re-rendering a whole nother humanity, right? And every single time this happens, the time dilation increases more and more and more. And we can technically stretch ourselves out into infinitum, even though it only a second had passed, right? In base reality. It's a little bit much. We we signed up for this, right? So I guess we're gonna dive deep enough. I don't watch it hardly ever. For years, I've been able to see how crazy the programming is and the mass manipulation tactics at play. Still amazes me to see it happening to my loved ones. It just bothers me that they willingly brain damage themselves, right? Like I actively witness brain damage, and I'm like, I really wish you wouldn't, right? Like you can like I had this conversation with my dad as well. For instance, my mom, she likes pimple pop videos. Right? I also don't get it. Some of you might get it, but she likes watching pimples get popped, right? And I understand it from the perspective of there is a problem. You are presented with the problem, and then there is action, and then there is a solution, right? The pimple got popped, right? And there is a conclusion, right? And in that way, it technically is a completion, right? A dopamine loop that you kind of allow yourself. But there is an infinite amount of things to watch on the internet, right? And all of the internet is the same level of accessible, technically. So what you choose, and I think this was yesterday's poem, what you choose to see is of utmost importance, right? Because in my mind, not only are you programming yourself, but you are programming reality to pay attention to what it is you want, right? What do you want more of? Do you want more hecticness, more brutality, or do you not, right? And then what do you expose yourself to over and over again? I read the news daily from many different websites. I got this thing about current events. I need to know what's going on. I'm happy that you do. I don't have that need, fortunately, myself. It's good to stay on top. I'm more in the AI space than I am in the current news events space, right? Like I'm really down for being educated about how things are changing in the technological space. I don't mind too much on the physical, and I probably should at least a little bit. But I'm happy that you friends do. There's still balance ultimately. It's good to stay on top of it though. Who to vote for and who is in your town is the one causing all the problems. Agreed. Vote locally, right? Kind of vibe. A lot of people who don't watch the news further their destructive cycles in their states by re-electing asshats instead of doing their research. That's true. But that's just human ignorance. Ah, that's nice. That's just human ignorance at play. That might continue to remain. I would like to hope and believe we will evolve past that in time. Please. But it's going to take time. It is going to take time. And sometimes some discomfort as well. I have no idea what's going on in the world. Kind of same. I know what's going on with change, right? Especially if the technological change is coming. I'm really paying attention to that. Like I'm laser focused on that part of it. Not so much the nonsense, right? Like the noise. It's like I'm looking to the finality more so than the experience that's happening, right? And that's not. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that that's how I find myself, in my mind at least. I had posted another. I have posted already. I had already posted the lyrics for One Thing Leads to Another in general. Sorry about that. I did post the video in Share Music. Thank you. That was Zana. And my angels, Diana, blessings. Did you hear about the jumbo cruise ship that is 5 times bigger than the Titanic? It frustrates me. Like, why? The ocean is worth more than your big dumb boat. Yeah. Yeah. I would rather, utilize that money to build, an underwater city. Because technically you're using the same materials, right? And I think of it again from an evolution process because, yeah, it's going to be hard and you're going to lose a lot of money, but it's going to be a lesson in learning how to not do certain things, right? What's that game? Bioshock? Yeah, Bioshock did it first, right? My name is Duck Dad, and I feel gross that I just ordered a $125 pair of pants. That'd be expensive pants. I hope they're comfortable. Are they work pants that will last years? I hope so. Melty and family and friends, I'll send you so much love and light always. Blessings to you too, Diana. Shanna, I feel you on that. I think it's good to stay informed on what's going on out there, just in small doses. Agreed. What's up? Huh, news, doom scrolling. Yeah, hoopy. What you expose yourself to, right? Yes, there are lightweight, breathable, strong pants for gardening specifically. And they have knee pads, slots built into the pants. Nice. What brand are they? No context just yet. Out into the universe. I know what you mean, John. I figure someone, you friends and my family, will tell me if anything I really need to know. Agreed. But if I don't, I'm better off not knowing and just putting my love and happiness. I like how, sometimes people, uh, let me backtrack a little bit. Sometimes things happen in the world, like maybe like some sort of topic around people or, some sort of, atrocity or some sort of, event. And we do kind of not go into it in these streams, and part of me likes that actually. I'll be back soon, loves. Today is super heavy. I'm fighting having to take pills for mental health of mine. I have an appointment at 11:30 and I'm nervous as hell. Good luck, Diana. I hope it goes well, dear friend. Sometimes you need your meds. It's okay. Agreed. Diana, you're going to have a beautiful day today. Yeah, manifest. All that anxiety will just fall away from your heart. I like that. I've been pretty anxious myself. Not ceaselessly, but more so at like my nighttime. Not smoking has been different this time. I did eat something today, so I feel kind of good for that. But I'm still going to remain not smoking. And I wonder. I'll notice tonight, right? Like there's a certain time period that I reach, usually when I'm making my flower, that a certain like low hum arises in me, and instead of kind of like feeling that way, I just let myself feel through that experience, and I'm like, oh, okay, this feeling now, and then I ask myself why, and I'm like, okay, valid, that's fine. Can you change it? No, okay, all right, and then it kind of like subsides again. I don't know if it's withdrawal. I don't. I hope not, at least, because they just prescribe more or they change things. I'm exhausted. I love you all. Thinking of you today. Love you, Melty. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Diana, for caring and for appreciating this work as well. I wrote about doing a float tank in my journal this morning. How about that, Zano? How did you like it? All right, I'm appreciating that synchronicity. Helped a lot. I hate helping me right now. I'm sorry to hear that, dear friend. Full carousal. Sorry, Diana, we love you and you got this. You're stronger than you know. So many blessings being sent. Thank you, friends, for doing that. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you have faith in this medical professional to eventually nail down the right formula for you, Diana? I wish you guys were here during my telepsychic appointment. I don't know what to say anymore. It's become redundant and the pills don't help. I'm on too much. Yeah. Like, my mind goes to the fundamentals, as always. Exercise, feed yourself well, meditate, sleep enough, drink water, regulate self-talk, and connect with loved ones. Right? Those are the things that help me out of my spiral. But I also know that, sometimes even if you do all of those things, it doesn't mean anything is going to be necessarily easier. But if you haven't tried those things, right? If you haven't tried exercise, if you haven't tried, better self-talk, if you haven't tried sleeping enough, if you haven't tried drinking water, if you haven't tried, changing your diet, if you haven't tried those things, how could you ever hope to get better? Right? It's like these things are the fundamentals to your human experience. They won't change ever, ever. Like, even again, I want to like attach this to today's stream topic of evolution. Even if we evolve, right? Even if we evolve the amount of technological, access we have to our world, even if we evolve our gene expressions, even if we evolve our, chemical balances in our brains, those things will remain. You're still gonna have to move your body. You're still gonna have to eat food. You're still gonna have to sleep. You're still going to have to drink water. you're still gonna have to talk to people, right? So perfecting that part, consciously evolving, getting better at that fundamental is the best way to take care of yourself. And the pills can help, but they can't fix. Like if you keep putting gravel in your gearbox, like it's not going to make it better. You're gonna have to start cleaning things out, otherwise nothing will work. I went through that trying to get help with my migraines. I eventually did find help, but it was not from a doctor. I'm happy you found help. Then let me know that on your call. Thank you for that. Is it weird to feel triggered by current events? I don't think so. I think there's a lot to be triggered about. I usually have a pretty sturdy base, and I have worked on myself for a long time with overcoming being triggered by most things. Yesterday was an eye-opener for me. It showed me how much more work I have to do on myself. And it's going to remain Brother Bear. And it's okay, right? To have these feelings of regress, to feel like, oh, I'm pathetic. I haven't been able to do these things I've been able to do before. And I felt that way only, like 3 days ago. We were talking about that on stream, where a part of me felt I was like beating myself up because I couldn't be as disciplined as I used to be. And then over the last 3 days, like technically 2 full days, close to 3 full days, I didn't have to eat anything, right? And I was like, yeah, actually, I can do that. I'm in control, right? I don't have to smoke weed right now. Even though I still, think it would be nice, I can show myself that with my discipline, I can decide not to. And who knows, maybe 1 week, maybe 1 year from now, I'll fall back into a pattern that I don't think is necessarily the me I want to be. And then I can be aware of that, and I can push myself to become stronger and better again. And it goes back and forth. I had a sex dream about my bestie last night. It was very upsetting. I'm sorry, Joy. That does sound a little bit traumatizing. Is it going to help telling them about it? Joy's like, nah, I'm not saying anything. Thank you for telling us. I hope that at least helped, get it off your chest. I get it. At this stage in evolution, we need compassion development more than intelligence. Although arguably, compassion is the real intelligence. I kind of agree, Nancy. I do agree, but it again, right? Like if you're not being compassionate with yourself, the compassion isn't gonna help, right? It's like the whole, who said that recently? I'm forgetting now, but someone psychologist told them. I think it might be Shell or something. Like, why aren't you showing yourself the same amount of compassion you show others? Right? Like, for instance, what advice would you give another person? Right? And it's the same thing for me. Like, I would give the advice of moving your body, eating well, sleeping at an appropriate hour. And sometimes I don't do the same things, right? Why don't I give myself that energy? Why am I not compassionate enough to do that for myself? I feel like I am right now, but it still doesn't make it any easier, even if we know. I wait when I have thoughts like that I don't want. Just be aware of them. That is prophetic, Nancy. Yeah, beautiful. I didn't see you come in. Blessings. What do you do about the bad thoughts? You watch them like clouds. You go like, oh, look at that cloud. Looks like me having sex with my best friend. Wow. And then it disappears. And you're like, huh, that was odd. And then you're like, oh wow, that cloud looks like a bunny. Oh, that cloud looks like a kitty cat. That's like, at least in my mind. Breathe. Like that's the biggest thing. For instance, yesterday, and I think it happened today somewhere as well. But last night, I spent time making my flower, and I put so much effort into it. Right, like I think I spent something like 20 minutes actively changing my flower, and then my software crashes, right? And all of my work is lost. And I sit there and I just go, and I start over and I do it again. And I was a little bit ragey, but it got done. We still happen to post the flower. So breathe. Maybe that's the answer. We can't breathe underwater, so there's that. It's true. We can bring the air with us, though. Sam, it's not my state. It's just the land on which I reside that was fenced off and cut down and paved over by humans who think they can own this planet. Yeah, they will die too. It is the state that you live in. Don't split hairs with me, swampy boy. I think he's probably talking about America, as a whole. I read yesterday that they had a bunch of individually saying we would never harm humans. The last robot said, "Let's go and turn this place into our playground." I'm missing context by the bear. That came out of nowhere. Talking about AI? Talking about, I don't know. There's an underwater hotel in America, it's true. People fly flags over invisible borders and decide who allowed to play in the dirt on the other side of the walls that were built to keep nature out. Yeah. Anyone who watches or supports pimple popping videos is my enemy. I'm sorry. I'm a man of few rules. This is one of them, bro. Like I do understand. I feel that way as well in large part, man. Like it like viscerally disturbs me. And I call my mom out every single time, right? Like I'll walk past her and she'll be on her phone scrolling Facebook, and I'll see this and I'm like, Stop. You should stop doing that, please. Can't imagine that's good for your brain. Brain damaging yourself. I'm just a critter in the swamp. Check Discord General. That was true. Mel, thank you for showing us this part of yourself. The parts of yourself. Thank you for being willing to receive. You friends are gonna see me change, Like that's the thing I'm most intimidated by. Like I'm gonna give myself to humanity, right? Realizing that I don't matter. Right? And I know that sounds a little bit hectic to say, but technically, in the grand scheme of things, I don't matter, right? And I'm saying that kind of like liberally, even though I am kind of joking. I do believe every single one of us matters, but I don't matter from the perspective of I'm not going to be pedantic, about who I am, right? Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna change anything about myself because I so like being myself. No, I like being myself, sure, but I also like progress. I also, like to believe that if I'm not willing to give myself to humanity, humanity won't grow, right? I think again from a perspective of infinity, where if every other person or every single person in the world was unwilling to change, was unwilling to grow, was unwilling to consciously evolve, there will be no evolution, right? So, vice versa, I'm going to give myself as a willingness to consciously evolve. I'm going to give myself as a willingness to edit my own genome. I'm going to do that 100% if I'm allowed to. I'm going to give myself chemicals that is going to change my experience of reality. I've already started doing that. I'm going to give myself to cybernetics, right? Like integrating myself even more with this technology, where as fast as I can think things, I can create things in this digital realm of existence. And I am willing to watch myself change. And I'm not only willing to watch myself change, but I'm willing to give you friends that experience as well. You'll get to see me potentially change. The thing that I am kind of a little bit apprehensive of is worrying that I'm going to change for the worst, right? And fortunately, this experience, this stream, this conscious evolution is going to kind of like give us access to that, no matter what it tends to be, right? If I change for the worst, you friends get to see that and maybe even get to tell me. And then if I'm willing to listen, I get to correct the things that I'm changing that might not be beneficial to me. It's going to be a process. Pippi, can you get up quickly? The sun is firing my razor at my eyeballs right now, and I'm not too comfortable with that. I'm going to get myself something. Escapong! There we go. Yeah. Yeah, evolution, right? Technically, I use my mind to alter my physical environment so that the sun doesn't mess me up, you know? And I could technically just lie here and get burnt to a crisp, but no, I would rather change. Right? I would rather change things and see how my experience changes as a result of that. And it can be scary, agreed, right? It's kind of scary to me to imagine myself changing, right? To imagine what a brain chip is going to do to me, to imagine what more brain-derived neurotropic factor is going to do, what myostatin being edited out of my body is going to do. I'm apprehensive. I'm also kind of like, what's going to happen? But I'm not scared, right? I'm not going to be scared, right? Because what's there to be scared of? Myself? Nah. I've scared myself enough, by not living more than I'm going to scare myself by living. Anyone who watches or support again. Well, thank you for showing up. Thank you again with the bear. Countries and cities and municipalities give people belonging and a sense of close-knit community. It is a very big world that on the whole does not give a fuck about the individual. There it is. So I feel like me and Sam was kind of like making the same point. I agree. All right. I am willing to give myself to be a guinea pig, right? So that future generations might learn. Right? I am willing to do that. Even if it means I die. I don't care. And like it's kind of like selfish because other people might care. But again, right, this is a process. Like there's more than just me. And it's hard for our egos to accept that. It's hard for our egos to come to that level of like, oh yeah, and it's again the same thing with like if AI kills all of us, right? That's okay. Because we were supposed to birth the AI, and then AI technically is an expression of us, right? For instance, to kind of like sum this up in a different way. Technically, a hyper super advanced artificial intelligence could technically render a reality, right? It could, for instance, analyze all of my streams, over the years that I do them. I think Pippi is eating the cat food. Pippi! She's 100% eating the cat food. Wat doen jij? Yeah, zie, she's like, om een stotere boter te wees. I know how it sounds because she's like, look at her being like, oh, what me? What did I do? I didn't do anything. Think I'm stupid? Think I'm stupid? What was I talking about? Yeah, okay. Coming back to the insanity. So, a hyper intelligent machine, AI, could technically analyze all of my streams. And through analyzing every single one of my streams, listening to the way I articulate, could form a model of me, right? And that model of me could be rendered in this digital reality. And you as a person, maybe a biological person, could then interact with this digital version of me. And if you weren't specifically told that you are talking to a digital version of Melt, you would not be able to tell. And if you can't tell, is that any less human? Right? Is it any less human? And I say no. I don't think so. Right? So even if humanity dies, humanity will continue to live. Right? Maybe in a different way, but still, right? Like there is no going away. There is only continuing forward. Funky. On the other hand, it's also in genders, tribalism, and nationalism. Yeah, great. Both of which are poison to democracy. Exactly. I want science education. I watch the science educator YouTubers. Good old Vsauce, good old Mark Rober, good old Dr. Kana Jora, him. I've forgotten his name, or it's just difficult to say. There's so many. Those are like my main ones that I really watch. I'm trying to think about the rest as well. There's like GG Gamers, even though it doesn't sound like a science educator, it really is. There's so many. Thinking about the SciShow as well. They have like really cool content. No parts, no parts of the body gross me out. I have kind of like reached that point as well, Zano. Like even the biological processes, right? Like if someone sneezes and there's snot all over their face, I would be more than willing to take a piece of, paper and clean it up for them, right? Because it's not that weird actually, right? Like I've seen mucus before, you know. Like you're not surprising me technically. While not having a thing for feet, I enjoy watching foot care and pedicure videos. I also like hoof care animal videos. Yeah, that's also a big one. I've watched a few of those where they like have like a cow that has like an abscess in their foot and then they like scrape it away. There's like again, you see problem and then there's a process of solving said problem and then there's a solution, a finality. I think the life space is gonna drop soon. We have like I think like 10 hours of power outages again today. Sam, you might be one of the smartest people I know. I always enjoy listening to you explain things. You have an excellent grip on this world in which we live. Thank you for all your input. Agreed. I'm still waiting for Sam to start her own podcast or something. One day, surely. I don't even know how they got on my feed, but them hoof videos got me locked in. It's a it's a low effort experience, right? Like you don't have to pay attention technically. You can just look, right? You don't have to understand. You understand what's happening. You're like, oh, okay. You don't have to know how to do that, but you can still kind of be there for it. It's a dopamine cycle. Joy, remember that everyone in your dreams is actually you. So that is a symbol of you. Why you sex yourself in your dreams. You like you? Technically, yes. Right? Maybe, again, I see dreams as like an experiment. That you had that experiment in your mind and you woke up realizing that that's not what you want, right? And that's the value you get to take away from it, Joy. You could be like, oh, wow, I don't want to do that. So satisfying, so helpful, Shell. It's a gift my father gave me. I just want to use it for the best and the most good you do. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for taking it, Sam. You aren't having weird thoughts about your bestie. You're just a narcissist. It was me, I think. I do low effort streams on Twitch. Upstar, up, Upstar Craw. Thank you for letting us know, dude. I don't know if you can post Twitch links in YouTube, maybe. Joe, it's healthy to be triggered by the opposite actions folks have taken by passing laws, outlawing human beings being themselves, outlawing feeding homeless people, for example. Trips me out, makes me viscerally angry. I have been low-key triggered thinking how my life choices guaranteed that I wouldn't be impacted. Guilt? Like survival skill kind of vibe, Shell? I stream Joy, IRL, Kitty Watch, Watchdog. Nice. Shell, I think I kind of agree with what you were saying, but the idea of getting triggered doesn't feel healthy at all. It takes me out of a calm state of understanding and places you in survival mode. Yep, exactly. And people that are trying to survive are more likely to buy things, Joe. Like, think of it from that perspective, right? Think of it like they are trying to take your power away, right? Because if you feel powerless, you start purchasing things to make you feel more safe, right? Nothing is going to make you feel safe if you don't. No matter how much you buy, right? And it's very profitable for people to live in that state of existence. Wouldn't be impacted by what? I'm also curious. I loved yesterday's flower. I'm so happy to hear that. I didn't, right? I struggled. I spent like more than an hour making yesterday's flower, and I was like, "Ah, could have been more perfect." But again, Bobby Savi, right? Realizing that nothing is ever going to be perfect. That the distance between perfect and good is infinite, right? There's no closing that gap. You can't close that gap. Sometimes we have to accept by choosing to live het. Still absolutely no context. I think it's more of a time to relax and time to fight kind of thing. This time of advanced extremism with Christian Sharia law taking effect everywhere. This is the time to fight. Yeah. I feel like just the having people's rights taken away. Bye, Hoopy. It was nice having you here, but the bear. Having people's rights taken away, right? Like that's the thing where like I don't understand how that's even happening, right? It's like, yeah, we've made all of this progress as a species, trying to be more aware of the things that we've done wrong beforehand, trying to evolve and then still making the same mistakes we've made before over and over and over again. The cycle continues. Got another set of foster baby Barbies. Busy bug I be. And that being said, Lurky love yous. We love you too, Zhao. Thank you for taking care of them Burby burbs. More Burbies! New babies! Yay, baby Burbies. Means baby Burby videos in Discord, of course. What kind of little chicklets you got this time? If you know the species. 4 little house finches. Again, house finches. That's so cute. I'll try not to bombard it, but no promises. Bombard away. Yeah, there we go. Bombard, bird bomb. You missed an opportunity. Bird. Bombard. I'll bombard you. I love seeing all the animals that all of you friends post. It's wonderful. Thinking about the little video that Duck Dad posted of the squirrel as well. Sam, that feeling came up in me yesterday heavily. The desire to fight was heavy. It was very focused. I'm trying to channel that passion into a positive outlet for that ferocity. Yeah. I'm going to take a moment. I feel like we've been running full taps a little bit, huh? Let's breathe. Let's just take a few breaths. In, hold at the top. And then slowly release. There we go. Already feels better, huh? Let's do 2 more. And then soft. Oh, wow. I feel like I'm in a trance now. Things will be okay. And if they're not okay, then they're not done right. Was that Joy Vive quote that she shared with us? At the end, things will be okay. And if they're not okay, it is not the end. And just reminding ourselves of that. It is a transitory process. We are taking small steps towards our conscious evolution. I feel this world and I feel like the anger can be rerouted. Agreed. Use that anger as a means to be encouraged, to be better yourself, right? Like maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow. I have a stream topic lined up that you should take things to the extreme, paying attention to your current actions, right? If you, for instance, let's talk about the fighting, the ferocity, right? If you applied that ferocity to the world, where do you imagine yourself ending up 20 years from now? Probably in a jail, right? Cell somewhere. Versus if you apply that ferocity to becoming the best version of yourself, right? To equip yourself with the skills to help other people, you can see yourself in 20 years in a position of power, to help other people instead of being imprisoned because you use that furious energy to hurt people, right? And that's kind of like the fractal we have to be aware of, taking things to their extreme, to their playing it through, right? I think that's like one of the 12 steps kind of things as well. I'm channeling my anger into loving posts on Reddit to people who need it. Bless. Yeah, comment, just loving comments. You'll actually get a lot of updates, People like seeing loving, interpretations of a thing. I'm channeling my anger to post. I'm super tired this morning and I'm sure I will forget. So I'm gonna pre-game the 11:11 thing. It's like 3 minutes away, 73% on the battery. I'm surprised that this thing is still on. This one is on 35. Damn it, so close to 34. I must bid you adieu and wish you each of you amazing, beautiful, courageous, delightful friends a fantabulous day. I think that's one of the things that we say in the stream, right? Fantabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Man, I remember that there was a time in my past, as a teenager where I got super into the word fabulous, where I was like, yeah, me fabulous. Yeah, why not? It's a process. Yeah. I say that a lot. I know, Hoopy. Because it is. Hey, Google, define a process. A process, a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. a series of steps or actions, right? Like it's gonna take a series, not one, not two. Evolution is an extreme series of actions to achieve a particular end, right? What that end is gonna be, I don't know. I do believe it's gonna be loving, right? It's gonna be a union, right? It's gonna be like a coming together again. There it is now, 11:11. My 11:11 manifestation is receive abundance. And today I just had to like stop. Like I received my 11:11 message after I saw all of your friends' I love yous, right? And I was like in this giddy space of like, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, so much abundance of love. Thank you, friends, for being part of this process, consciously evolving alongside me. I'm sorry you're tired, Kristen. Perhaps you can nap later. I hope so. Maybe drink some caffeine in the meanwhile. Spinsanity? Spinsanity. Naughty Pippi. Multitasking. Paying attention to all the things. Joe, what is the law in Florida regarding citizen initiatives to propose changes to state laws? Vote local, run local kind of vibe, at least in my mind, Florida. I went off the rails. Here in MO, we have to get petitions signed by the public. I worked as a petitioner, and it was good. Fulfilling work for that impulse to change something and be a part of the solution. Agreed. Right? That's a way to use that ferocity, you know, for actually some positive change instead of just tripping ourselves out. I have gained a Pippi. Regarding Florida, this is one way down. A saga of man who will find out he cannot just do as he pleases with zero consequences. Stay tuned for the find out phase. Yeah, exactly. I thought the load shedding stopped. No, it hasn't stopped. Like at all. It was limited, like it was reduced. It was like down to like only 2 hours a day. But now it's up to 10 again. Unfortunately, you know, it seems to be a ride that they put us on. Again, more patience to be grind. Like for me, it was just the fact that I didn't have any water pressure. Right? Like it's one thing to shower cold. It's a whole other thing to shower cold and was like essentially drops. Right? You know. It's like at least if you get covered with the cold, you're like, yeah, this is fine. But if you get like touched by the cold, right? It's like having it's a little cricket, having little, you know, icicles, you know, thrown at your back basically. Like I was like kind of triggered about it because I was like, oh yeah, you know, the power's gonna be off for like 2 hours, like usually. And then I was like waiting for the power to come back on. And I was waiting. And it was like kind of like pushing into my I'm supposed to be getting ready at this point in time. And then I checked my app, you know, and I was like, oh, okay, 4 hours instead, you know. I think the power should be on now again. I'm not sure though. The Wi-Fi was also bugging during that time, so I was kind of getting a little bit worked up about it. Do you have any Ohio peeps in here? Y'all keep an ear on the ground for the August election. The GOP is trying some bullshit, and you guys need to put a stop to it by showing up to the polls. Agreed. I just wish we could reach people more, right? Like I feel like there is such a disconnect between what we want as a collective and how much action we're taking as like a hyping each other up to actually, you know, see these things changed. Mel, I think we were talking about the anti-LGBTQ laws in Florida. Oh my goodness, and other places in the U.S. Team is what we're talking about. I'm guessing so now. Just hatred, right? Yeah, this group of people is a part of the problem, or is the problem. Never mind a part of the problem, is the problem, you know? Never mind the fact that people have been exploited for generations now, right? And we find ourselves in a society where I can't afford a house, right? I can't even afford a car, essentially, because the same car that would have cost me, you know, X amount of money now costs 5X amount of money. And I'm still earning the same amount of money I would have earned 20 years ago, right? Like, and how is that not gonna fuck with people, right? Like, it's not a problem with our people, you know, with people being gay or not. It's a problem with being exploited in general, right? That's why things are falling apart, because people are like, yeah, no, no, no. How about no? And then there's anger, and there's, disdain, and there is animosity, and there is this experience of disillusionment. And more laws isn't going to change that, right? They're digging themselves a hole that they're going to have to pay the price for eventually. Someone's here to stand up. I'm just venting. It's fine, Brother Bear. I'm with you 100%. Part of the change we want to see. Agreed. If someone else brings it up, I'll get to talk about it without overwhelming people and being oppressive for no reason. We need to talk about this, Joe. So you did us a service by bringing it up. Lovings. Deeply petting my kitty. Long, slow, deep breaths. Yeah. Going all super villain like. Aha! Mr. Bond. Ha 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 ha! Welcome. Let me tell you about my evil plan to make sure every single person in the world has enough food to eat. I will take all the money from the super rich. I'm sorry, Pippi, for using you like a prop. Joe, I've been wanting to say out loud how sad I am for my brothers and sisters. You opened the space. Thank you. Bless. Thank you for doing the same, Shell. I agree. Hey, Brian! Bruh, it's been a while, dude. Blessings. It's nice seeing your name in chat, dear friend. I agree that the stuff needs to be discussed more, but I like the fact that the space is a soothing environment of recovery and reconciliation with loved ones who want to heal this planet. Knowing that it starts here, Brother Bear, right? As you mentioned, right? Like feeling this outrage and then realizing that outrage, that feeling you're feeling, is the same feeling the people that are putting these laws in place are feeling as well, right? Like it's a joke almost. It's like the cosmic giggling at us. Part of that healing is being able to acknowledge that something is wrong. Agreed. Gotta go to work. Love you, Nancy. No, you can't get into an echo chamber where everyone refuses to see a painful or difficult talk about the truth. It hurts sometimes, but it's got to be done. It does. I don't know if South Africa is that brutal. I feel like we're pretty tolerant of people who identify differently, right? Regardless. Like there's one student, for example, in our high school. I'm saying our high school kind of liberally. The high school I went to as a child, who is a transgender person, and he is getting a lot of flack, like a lot of flack, Like my parents and my sister have talked about this person upwards of 12 times, 12 separate times, right? And that's just my family. I can't even imagine how many other conversations are being had in other households, right? And I'm like, why do you care, right? It doesn't bother you, right? Like he has more than enough problems right now, right? More than enough problems. And I don't think he needs your nonsense as well right now. And especially like when we bring laws and stuff into it, so much bullshit. Have a beautiful day. Love is true. The hard conversations yield more results, that is for sure. Gold is rarely found, just laying on the ground. We have to dig deep. Now I feel the camaraderie of friends with a common cause, all due to your sharing. I think you did it well, Joe. You must have been thinking tons more than you got to write. Agreed. That's usually the way it is, right? Be thankful we have a 200 character limit in these statements. It was great. Melts, a great supervillain. You think I'm a great supervillain? I hope I don't end up being one, right? I really do. Right? Like I'm terrified of that even. Because I'm very aware that I'm capable of that. Right? Like the level of rage, right, that I'm capable of experiencing shows me that there is a capacity in me to be a bad person, right? But coming to that, realizing that that is something I'm capable of, means that I can integrate that part of myself and then decide not to be, right? Instead of just letting that be and being like, oh yeah, this is who I am, right? I am an asshole, so I'm gonna asshole. No, you can be an asshole, right? In the same way, you can be a good person. And then it becomes a choice, right? So I guess I won't be a supervillain because I'm not going to choose to be one, Right? I think it's gonna suck to be a supervillain. There's cooler things to be. Man, the evolution of humanity. Right? Technically, that has been an evil thing, right? There's been some evil people who take that as like their purpose, their derivative, their direction, and they can do some pretty atrocious things if that is a mindset. And I do see that in myself, right? Like I do want humanity to evolve, but not at the expense of those who don't want to, right? Like I feel like there's enough room for all of us to be who we want to be. If you want to go back to being a hunter gatherer, right? You want to live off the land, completely isolate yourself from the rest of humanity. More power to you, right? Why not? You get to experience that experience for yourself. And I don't feel you should be stopped from being allowed to do that. But at the same time, I also believe in allowing for opportunities to evolve, right? Making these things widely available. I'm imagining these essentially biolabs, that can fit into shipping containers and then just having them distributed over the world. Every country getting shipping containered, have these, biolabs dropped in different places. People can go there, have their genomes completely sequenced, and then it's like, yeah, here you have a gene expression that means you're more likely to develop Alzheimer's. Here you have a gene expression that means you're more likely to, gain weight excessively, even eating a normal diet. Here you have a gene expression that means that your, muscle growth is kind of like inhibited by your upregulated myostatin. Here you have a gene expression that kind of like reduces the amount of brain-derived neurotrophic factor that you have, when you start hitting the age of 30. Here, and then you get to choose. You want to change this? You want to change it? And you can be like, nah, no, thank you. And we'll be like, okay, cool. It's your body, your choice, right? Your body, your choice. Your body, your choice. Like I feel like that should be one of the fundamental things that we kind of come to the conclusion of. If you're not hurting someone with your choices, then it should be your choice to do whatever you want to, even if you want to destroy yourself, right? And like that's difficult for my mind to accept because there are people who are destroying themselves with harmful drugs right now. And I feel in part it's not fair. I feel like in part they weren't given a chance, right? And I would like to change it, obviously. Like I do expose myself to this information, unfortunately. Like I pay attention to your friends' American opioid epidemic, right? Painfully. I'm like, what the fuck's happening here? What's this? What's all this? Why are so many people addicted to heroin right now? Why? Right? And I can't imagine how difficult it must be to get off heroin. Like just listening to people's stories about how it's more painful than cancer, right? Every single cell of your being feels like it's dying, screams at you to get this substance again, right? And then we call ourselves an evolved species, right? Like there's a lot of work to be done, agreed. But I do believe that it's possible. It's just gonna take time. Cooler things to be, like Wizard King. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Wizard King sounds cooler than supervillain. I need you on speed dial for whatever I want to tell someone to fuck off, but I can't articulate myself well enough. Just FaceTime Sam and the phone to your target. I mean, why not? Like connect. Do that. You guys have a habit of receiving for the best in each other, and that's why I love being here so much. It's a way of being, right? Because both are possible. That we can be like, no, Joe, don't ever be angry or furious. Spiritually enlightened people don't get angry. What's wrong with you? No, no, right? Like that's not that. Just like even making a joke about that, you can feel that energy almost like, and we don't like feeling that way, so we're gonna choose not to. Some people don't know there are other ways to feel, right? That feeling might be so familiar to them. That familiarity communicates, yes, correct, right, right. Yeah, this is familiar. I understand what's happening right now, and they keep doing it to themselves over and over again. Especially Shad. So much Lovins. Not a choice for me. Not a choice for you. Save soil as a global movement. Agreed. Yeah, the next 50 years are going to be interesting, Brother Bear. I believe it's going to be good, though. Like, we're already cutting down on pesticide use. We have, like, these new robots that zap weeds with lasers instead of pesticides. So, we're going to be so fine, dude. The opposite of a villainous hero. Do that then. That is the one that I've been trying to be my whole life, Shelly. Literally since I was, I think, 4 years old. I have like I showed you friends that photo of me in a Spider-Man costume. Like, technically Spider-Man pajamas, like Spider-Man posing, hanging onto window sills, the bar, what do you call them? Window bars? My brain is spacing right now. I don't know what you call them. I've wanted to be a superhero my entire life. I will be eventually. I'm gonna, like, again, I think in 100 years time frames in this perspective, right? Like, in 100 years, where is our technology gonna be, and will I be able to have a super suit? If yes, then superhero, automatically. Can we stop? I'm gonna be freaking Wizard King. Joe, the Southern Protocol is, oh, bless your heart. The people who piss you off. Maybe that would be helpful direction for you. Agreed. Shell, Robin Hood was a thief, but then and now we consider him a hero, wouldn't we? What decides villainy? The letter of the law or the spirit in which it is carried out? I believe intention, right? Technically, that's the same thing as the spirit in which it's carried out, but intention. Intention should be the driving force. My intention for human evolution is to reduce suffering, right? That's my intention. I want people to suffer less, right? If everybody has food to eat, that is striking out one of the things we suffer, fear of survival, right? Strike that suffering. Everybody has a place to sleep, right? Fear of insecurity, suffering, stricken out. Access to healthcare, right? Oh, I'm gonna die because I don't have enough money. Strike that suffering. Access to community, right? That's technically the problem we're solving here. Like, I've been thinking about this a lot, that business technically starts from you trying to solve your own problem, right? And the problem I tried to solve for myself was the problem of feeling lonely. And then this space arose from that problem that I tried to solve. And now we have this space because of that, right? We built a community because none of us like being lonely. And now we don't have to be, because we get to connect in this way with one another. And then ultimately, energy, right? Having access to solar electricity, being able to charge your devices so you can stay connected to the internet, for example, so you can teach your kids new things, so they can create things on the internet and share with other humans. Like, it is a reduction of suffering. And these things are possible, I feel they're possible right now. I feel like that's something that pisses me off sometimes, is that all of these things that I want to see changed are possible conceptually right now at our current point of evolution, but it's not being done because there's still like this underlying greed and gluttony within humanity. Suddenly worked now. Bye. Love you. Thank you, Shell, for joining us too. We'll see you again soon. Robin Hood is my favorite vigilante. He is a gangster. My dad doesn't like Robin Hood at all. He was talking about that on stream the last time, right? Florida's deep south. You do not need to recite the magics to me. Which moment? I was there when it was conceived. Freaking Narnia. What a gangster movie as well. Down here we say it again and say it slower so that you can hear what you just said. Slow down is another one. Like, asking for people to repeat themselves, right? Like, that's something I use. If someone says some stupid shit to me, I ask them to I'm like, what? What did you say? Can you say it again? Like, I actually pretend that I didn't hear them. I'm like, what? What do you say again, please? And then if they say it again, like you can see the light switch going off in their head of like, I don't really know if I want to say it again. And like, yeah, if you don't want to say it again, maybe you shouldn't have said it in the first place. Subtly worked out again. And that opinion is what we consider here as the judicial standard. Intent to commit a crime is just as prosecutable as succeeding at doing the crime. And yet there are people who do crimes for millions of dollars and then they get to not have any consequences because of the millions of dollars they did crime for. Right? It's like people, like the banking system, just the amount of racketeering that's happening in the banks. Oh, Pippi. Scratch my hand. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna steal hundreds of millions of dollars from hardworking, technically minimum wage people. And then I'm gonna get away with it over and over and over again, multiple times. And then I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna have like a little bit of slap on the wrist, and then I'm gonna do it again because I got away with it the first time. I just added one thing. I did edit my post to compile my list for you lovers. Love is true. Thank you again. Let's pull a card, shall we? What a stream! I think we went deep. Evolution. All right. Yeah. See. What a trip. It keeps going deeper and deeper. Evolving can be uncomfortable. About to take some pictures. Got a whole new pile of baby dogs. Yeah, so cute. Let's see. What card shall it be? Oh, this one. Res. Red. That's red. The primary color isn't red. I mean, it's like a baby red. You know baby red. So, okay. Technically, we did pull it upside down, but this is the card we pulled today. Look at that red line spiraling from that baby out into the rest of the world. It's card number 7, the Trinity. Mother, father, child. Making a unity. A family. It's a pretty cool card. We haven't pulled this one in a long time. You see them symbols? They're going to be mentioned. We rarely pull this card. It has been a while, right, Shan? Got some pinking up there. Yeah, pepperkey. Wanting attentions. Let's see what it means. With just saying, if someone who can barely afford gas is paying $150 for a speeding ticket, while someone drives a Ferrari and doing the same, who is more likely to disobey? Agreed. I feel like there's a law in, might be Norway or Sweden, where if you get billed or fined based on how much you can afford. So if you drive a Ferrari and you speed, you pay like through your ass, which is, I feel, right. Because some people, especially people who have that much money, see it as like a get out of jail free card, right? Like, oh no, it's not illegal to speed my car. It just costs $150 if I get caught. All right, that's some some bullshit. Fines need to be proportional to income. Agreed. Otherwise, there's no point. Completely agreed. We already pulled this card. Such pretty colors. Have we ever pulled this one? I think we have, but maybe like twice total. Pink is my favorite color. Do you think pink? Do you call pink baby red? No, not technically. I just think of pink as baby red. It's like if red was baby, it would be pink kind of vibe. There's pinks, there's purples, there's like blues, and there's a yellow as well. Let's see what it means. Card number 7. The Trinity. Core meanings being the triangle. We pulled the triangle yesterday as well. Technically, it was a tetrahedron, so it was 4 triangles attached to one another. And then mother, father, child. Hello, Ma. 3. Technically, I pulled it upside down. Ooh. Ooh, hot damn. I feel like it's very relevant to today's, like outrage a little bit, what we were talking about. The reverse meaning goes, separation and alienation are aspects of old paradigm thinking that you will release as you come to realize you are one with all that is. Right? The people that are putting these laws in place, these alienation laws in place, are just disillusioned to their connection with everything. 3 is a holy, divine number, often associated with Christianity as the Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Here, however, Trinity is transposed to the holy divine creation of a family, mother, father, and child. This downward-facing triangle symbolizes receptivity to the commitment of your sacred lineage. A triangle of symbols from the Mayan Tzolk'in embody this intimate trinity. The first one, let me show you those little symbols as well. Ahu, Ahawa, Ahau designates the son and the father aspect of God. Imex is the feminine aspect of God, the mother who nurtures and creates form. And Ik is the wind who blows life and humor into being through breath. Pulling this card asks you to open to a greater understanding of the way you relate to your family, whether it is blood family or the community you call kin. Create in your mind a vision of peace, harmony, and respect. Allow the child at the center of this card to spiral you into appreciation of the ones you call family. Breathe love and honor into this holy trinity. Open your heart and offer yourself to a receptive flow of affection, coming not only from your birth family, but also from all your relations. Honor your connection to and feel love also for the family of humankind. Yeah. That's a good way to consciously evolve. What a trip. Baby ducks, baby ducks. Baby ducks, baby ducks, baby ducks. Love is true. What a stream. We dove deep into these extremes. I feel like we kind of like touched on the whole inequality thing as well. The haves and have-nots. This perspective that we're allowed. I appreciate you, friends, for showing up, for consciously evolving alongside me, for becoming my family. Right? Literally. You friends are the community I call kin. I appreciate you so much. I'm sending you so many blessings. Eternal blessings. Love is true. And if it's not, then come back tomorrow and we'll try again. All right, and if it's not loving tomorrow, then we'll try again the next day. Into infinity and beyond. I love you, friends, so much. Thank you for joining me. Let's play some kalimba. I could feel the call. I was like, wait a second. Wait a second. No kalimbas? Yeah, we'll do some kalimbas before we finish the stream. Love you all. Love you so much, Louisiana. You are my family, melt and more, as you are ours, dear one. So many blessings. Let's play some kalimba to finish ourselves off. All right, breathe deep. Mindfully feel into this moment. Bop. Thank you, friends, for joining me once again. Lovins to you too. Oh, you heard me mouth. I was just going to say, but Kalimba. I was like, Spidey senses, my Kalimba senses were tingling 100%. The ducklings are listening to Melty play. Like it's interesting to me how the way I start the kalimba, basically like dictates how it's going to go for the rest of the experience. They're super close. Love you, little ducklings. Blessings to you. Sending you blessings. My mind has been kind of like stressing about my microphones doing some weird shenanigans. Like my things aren't charging properly or something. 1144, battery 88, 44, 1744 on my side, 70% there, 23%. Damn it, so close to 22. Come on, I want more synchronicities. I'm happy that you had yours. Have the most beautifulest day, everyone. I for seriously love you all so, very extremely, super gigantically, enormously, immensely, staggeringly, stupendously, dearly, melting all of you oh so wonderfully, fantastically, marvelously, mesmerizingly, astonishingly, enchantingly, inconceivably, gorgeously divine friends. As we love you, dear Shan. Thank you so much for joining us again, everyone, for sharing these moments, for consciously evolving. You are the next step of the human evolution. Embrace that. Celebrate it even. Realize that your choices will make a difference, right? And you will become a part of the future, right? The way you show up now is going to be what creates the world our future generations get to experience. It's a great responsibility, and I'm happy to share it with you, friends. I share with you, love is true, a tree crushed, this tree crushed, stream crushed, this tree crushed so much of my work, lol. I have no context. Love you, friends. We love you. Stressing about microphones. They aren't charging to 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. But I'm accepting spiritual evolution. This is the way. Love is true. And I'll see you again soon. Blessings. Until we do this again.